Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have 3 separate builds for the TR7. This is widely touted as the best assault rifle in the game, and I hear a lot of on-paper arguments saying, why would you use anything else? Look at this graph right here, right? But today we're going to be addressing the on-paper arguments and why the TR7, while still S tier, isn't the absolute powerhouse that people really say it is. People will make you believe you just equip this weapon and you will do well at any range against all weapons, and, well, that's not true. So, let's get into the details of this video. If you enjoy the channel, if you want to follow Battlefield 6 and stay up to date, there are a bunch of changes coming that I will be covering, so be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and swing by the stream, especially on December 10th, where I will be playing in the $650,000 Battlefield Elite Series RedSec tournament with my team, trying to take home that $200,000 first place prize. Alright, so before I go over the 3 specific builds for the TR7, I would like to address some things that I've been hearing about this weapon, and to do that, we're going to have to look at this graph. It's a wonderful graph. I actually got this graph from a spreadsheet that is very, very useful, that details pretty much all weapons in the game, which I will link in the description. Full credit to the people that made that. But this graph essentially shows time to kill, over range, and the breakpoints and all that sort of stuff. And as you can see, the TR7 is that very bottom line. It is by far the fastest killing assault rifle in the game at every single range. It is true, the TR7 is a close to mid-range beast, but I've seen some people look at this and say, well, on paper, Enders, the TR7 is just the best fucking gun. Like, why would you use everything? Why would you use anything else? And then you shoot the fucking thing, and you realize, oh, wait, you can't really use the TR7 past, I'd say, 45 meters. If you're an absolute beast when it comes to recoil control, maybe you can get off some full sprays out to 50 meters. But to be honest with you, I would much rather have the L85 or the DRS, or just a weapon that is simply easier to use at distance. So while it is true that the TR7 is the fastest killing assault rifle in the game at every single range, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to effectively use it like that. In fact, I would relegate using the TR7 to close and medium range only. I would never, ever, ever use this weapon outside of, well, that 45 to 50 meter range. And even at that 45 and 50 meter range, you really have to feather this gun. You have to be very accurate, you have to be very careful, and sometimes using a weapon that you have to be careful with, or just be very precise with, isn't necessarily the best plan of action. You can just equip the DRS and be completely drooling on yourself and hit every single bullet out to 80 meters. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing about a weapon. It isn't the damage model, it isn't anything to do with the breakpoints, it's how easy a weapon is to actually utilize in your gameplay. So with that being said, let's jump into these 3 TR7 weapon setups. Alright, we're in the trusty test range here that is bugged dice. Please fix. Thank you very much. For using any TR7 build, you need to understand some things about the TR7 first. So, the TR7 has a dastardly recoil pattern. You are going to have to learn how to pull hard down right with this weapon to control the recoil. And this weapon will test your ability to do that very, very well. So, this setup is, I would say, the most user-friendly, the most heavy recoil control setup. You can see no lasers, anything like that. Of course, it has light and suppressor for recoil control. Just a basic barrel. Again, I don't feel the need to use extended barrel or light barrel or anything. This weapon is really going to be kept within short to medium range in my experience. For maximum recoil control, I'm using the classic vertical grip. Greatly reduces recoil. It does have a penalty to aim down sights accuracy, but honestly, I don't even notice it. I really don't. It only applies when you're moving, and this thing is shockingly pretty accurate in my experience. However, it is unruly to use, even with this level of recoil control. And then mag catch. So this is like the most recoil control-oriented build. So if you struggle with the recoil, but you want to use the TR7, this is the build that I would recommend. Now, if you want a TR7 that is dedicated to just hip fire and just running in there and insta-killing anything you put your eyes on, I would recommend you use this TR7 build. And this one is interesting. So this is basically just a hipfire build for the TR7. Obviously, you're not going to be using this build for ADS. You can still if you want to, but it is very clearly less controllable. But I think you'd be surprised. This hipfire build can cause some massive damage in CQC. It's really pretty nuts. Some damage model things about the TR7. Let me just reset the test range. Dice, please fix. So obviously it has that 3 bullet to kill range. I believe it goes out to like, what is that? That's 20 meters. So it doesn't quite go out to 20 meters, but it holds that 4 BTK out to a ridiculous range, all the way out to, I think that's 70 meters. And then if I go back here, it'll extend this to 80 meters, and then it'll finally drop to 5 bullets to kill, as you see there. But the damage model of the TR7 is insane. It has that 3 bullet to kill range. You can try this hipfire build here. I use, of course, a flashlight for that hipfire spread recovery, 50 milliwatt green laser. I have a sight, mag catch for fast reload. Sub 2-second reload time is really good. 25 round fast mag, short barrel for better hipfire, and flash hider. You could maybe switch this build around and use CQB suppressor if you really want a suppressor on this build. But for the purposes of a hipfire build using the TR7, you're going to be up in people's faces anyway. The spotting isn't going to matter, guys. It's really not. So you could even slap on a muzzle brake, really. If you wanted a converter, if you want a linear comp, you don't necessarily have to use the flash hider. I just chose it just for its benefits, you know. Maybe help you keep somewhat stealthy, I guess-ish. And then the last build I would say is the most, maybe quote-unquote advanced build. This build takes advantage of the 33 damage model, and I use hollow point rounds on it. I'll show you what hollow point rounds do after I explain the build. So, of course, I'm using a lightning suppressor again, basic barrel, and the 6H64 vertical. So this build has slightly more recoil than the first build that I showed you, but of course it does have hollow points, which increases the headshot multiplier to 1.5, which allows me to 2-shot headshot people within the 3 bullet to kill range, which of course is generous with the TR7. So as you can imagine, a 2-shot headshot at 720 RPM means they're dying fucking instantly. Like this might be some of the fastest time to kill in the entire game for a full auto weapon, headshotting somebody with a TR7 with hollow points. Just to put that into perspective, like the AK-4D, this is another weapon with a 33 damage model that I use hollow points with. So I'll just shoot this. So yeah, pretty fast time to kill. Now imagine with a TR7, it's now even faster. This actually might even be the wrong build. Hold on. Wait a minute. Nope, wrong build. Yeah, so if you want to insta-give people with every damage range, every sort of part of the body, this last build is definitely for you. But I'd say this is the most, maybe for the most advanced player, if that makes sense. So there it is. There's all about the TR7. Great damage model, great time to kill. A little bit more unruly, definitely a lot more unruly than the other assault rifles. Not as versatile in my opinion, but still really, really damn good. Non-negotiable S-tier weapons. So if you want to keep up to date with Battlefield 6, if you want to learn about all the weapons and all the setups, first of all, let me know what weapon I should cover next. I have covered a lot of good weapons, but definitely not all of them. There's still some big ones on the list, so let me know. And don't miss the tournament. December 10th, going to be playing for $200,000 first place prize, playing against Huskers and Shroud and a bunch of other really good players. All links in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video.